the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired since 1926, helping Vermonters to adjust to vision loss.
You're not off the hook. You still have to be a husband or a wife, son, or father. You still have to earn a living.
That's why we have the VABVI, so we can get out there and be independent, get jobs and work.
There are so many more things that you've got to do in life. The only thing you can't do is see them. But you can hear them, you can touch them, you can smell them. If you have any dreams and aspirations, you better get going with life because you don't want to waste another minute.
My name is Janine Struthers, and this is my husband.
I'm Eddy Struthers.
We've been together for almost 9 years.
Well, I'm Andrea Evie, and currently I'm working for Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired as a vision rehabilitation therapist assistant, and that's a mouthful.
My name is Pat Caruth. I'm from Montpelier, Vermont. I have an eye disease called glaucoma.
Adjusting to vision loss.
My visual impairment is retinitis pigmentosa. And also I have a cataract, some cataracts in my eyes. And it's a challenge every day.
Trauma, physical and social.
I was born with severe nearsightedness. I started wearing glasses when I was 2 years old. And just as I got older, my eyes just got continually worse.
But then it progressed at a slow pace, and when I was 58, I went to the eye doctor in Dartmouth, and he said, you can no longer drive.
In 90, I lost my right eye. In 96, I lost most of my left eye.
So I started noticing in my left eye that there was an area that was blurry when I was trying to read, looking at print on a book. In a book, it would be blurry, and like the line would just disappear.
Shock and denial.
I lost the eyes from the operations. So the last operation I had to keep my head down for 8 weeks parallel to the floor. And when that period got near the end, I was visiting at Christmas at my daughter's, and I told her that I wanted to go home and have some space, and because everybody had been with me, and I just needed to be alone because I do live alone. And she had prepared all this food for me, and she said to me, "Are you going to be okay, Mom?" And I said, "Yes," never thinking, and she never thought either, that there was no way I could use my stove microwave to heat up the food and to have the meal.
My eyesight got to the point, as far as the nearsightedness was concerned, where I was not comfortable driving anymore.
For me, it was life-changing when I was told I couldn't drive anymore.
Especially with glare was starting to be an issue. The angle of the sun, if it hit me just right when I was on the road would just disappear.
I had to stop driving, so I had to stop working.
I drove many, many years, and it was very hard not to have to drive anymore. It was probably one of the biggie things that happens to you because it's a lack of independence.
I felt, how can I still be independent?
Mourning and withdrawal.
I was first not able to drive. We were out in a very rural setting, and it was very isolating not having that accessibility to public transportation. I was only able to get out of the house like one day a week for a few hours to do grocery shopping. That was pretty much it.
It isn't easy to sit home and not get out. I think we all need to get out. We all need to do some social things. We all need to do some volunteer things. And we need to get out.
My independence meant that I had to move away from my children so that I wouldn't be depending on them.
It's not easy to have to be dependent on others to do things for you. And when I had to give up driving, that was really, really hard.
First of all, I'd like to say, people have trouble asking for help.
I'm a very independent person, and having to ask, my spouse or anybody for rides all the time. I always felt like I was inconveniencing people to have to do that.
I thought, well, I had made up my mind I was not going to be able to find anybody who wants to be with somebody that's going blind. That was, my thought about all that.
Mine knowing what her vision was in the first place, she had no idea that anyone would ever look at her. She's got a hat as big as the moon. And that's all I could say. I said, honey, if I have to carry it for the last mile, I will. Because she's just a wonderful person.
It's been quite a journey for both of us.
Succumbing and depression.
The underlying eye conditions that I still have are still there, and I'm still at high risk for retina detachment or bleeds, glaucoma. The atrophy is probably going to progress in my macula in the left eye, and it may start in the right.
I have a very hard time because I don't see anything in the room.
And of course, when I got home that night, I prayed, and I said, I need help, so you need to help me.
Especially with my husband, I was having to rely on him more and more especially when I took myself off the road. I needed him to take me out to do grocery shopping and do errands and so forth. And my family was on the other side of the Green Mountain Range back over in Bennington County, and I needed to have rides to get there to visit them. And he found it very stressful, and I'm sure that it wasn't something that he was anticipating in our relationship, that I was going to have to rely on him so much.
Frustrated every day, but whether you have a visual impairment or not, people get frustrated, and we have to figure out, we have to figure out other ways of dealing with our disability.
I was hopeful that it would actually help with my husband's and my relationship, knowing he might have a little bit of an out as far as my dependency on him had been for so long. And unbeknownst to me, apparently he had been planning on leaving me for a while, and he waited until he knew my surgery was successful. And once that was in place, he was making arrangements unbeknownst to me to leave me. And he left the end of October 2015.
Reassessment and reaffirmation.
I find myself single again, but it's fine. I'm getting through, and I'm enjoying my new life. So,
but it was a blessing, because it was the start of a new life for me. I wouldn't be where I am today if I still had my vision. I really believe that you have, when something is taken away from you, God is good, and He gives you other opportunity. He opens other doors, and you just have to go through that. It's scary, and I probably wouldn't be with this wonderful man, so. Destiny and all that stuff. You just have to. When you get up in the morning and you put your feet down, and you can still walk. There's that day that may be the only day that you have left. So you do the best that you can, and use every minute of that day to make something for yourself or for other people, and you just move on.
Coping and mobilization.
On Monday morning, I called VAB VI office in Burlington, and I spoke to a woman, and I said that I needed some help.
They suggested that I reach out to the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and get myself established as a client before my eyesight got any worse.
And I reached out to the the Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and I got a lot of help.
I met Melinda at that time, and she was wonderful. She helped give me direction as to find other ways of making things easier.
Scott Langley that came, he was a mobility and orientation person, and he came and started marking my appliances. And he did the microwave first because it's a flat surface and there was no way that I knew what buttons were what. And so the microwave was marked, and he marked all my appliances in the kitchen.
The association has been awesome. Mike Goldberg, Jeff, to teach me mobility.
For me, helped fit me with different glare shields so that I was more comfortable in different light situations. Helped me with transportation.
I felt that it was really, really important. One of the trainings might be communications, all kinds of communications and how we can communicate. Another one was home safety. Another one was cooking.
I'm a cane advocate. The white cane makes a statement, and so I use that all the time. That's why sometimes I take the bus, because when I'm with Eddy, he'll give me his arm. And if I take the bus, I'm on my own. I go downtown, I go shopping.
They can read the aisles and get what I need. And then they take me to the cashier, and they usually are very good about helping me. Usually I write a check and they just put my signature card on my area where I have to sign it. Then they take me out to the car with my groceries, put them in the car for me, tell me where the handle is on the car, and I get in and wait.
I remain independent even though he can take me shopping wherever I want to go. I still take the bus and use my white cane, and I love the cane. That was my independence. I can do my grocery, I can do everything and be independent without relying on my children. My children are really good, and but when you rely on somebody too much, for me, I wouldn't feel independent, and I'm a very independent person. And then the mobility was excellent. Anytime that I needed help, Jeff would say, well, I think you're okay now, but here's my card and call me. I would call him and he would come and help me out. So, and he overlooked all that. It was like, so we didn't meet when I had my sight. So he got used to the way that I had to do things. The first thing I did in the kitchen, I like to cook. So I moved everything around. So then he couldn't find anything. So he said, so he was telling all his friends, and I said, yes. And when you start finding things in the kitchen, I'll move them again so that I have to stay here. And my feeling about that is that if you don't stop doing something that you were doing when you have sight, you can always do it. You adapt. There's other ways, but I feel I'm always going to be able to cook and clean, and I have people come over the house and they're like, I thought you were blind. The tub is really nice and shiny. How you don't see that? And that's my grandson and his wife, and I said, I can feel where the dirt is in the tub. I don't see it, but so hands are very, important. I feel my way around, and I only hear what I want to hear. So
It certainly gave me a better understanding and awareness of what low vision means, and that there's all different kinds, and I didn't even realize that there were several different forms of cataracts that can cause different results in people's vision. I thought there was just one kind, and I found out differently.
I like to say I use what I'm able to see instead of saying I can't do this because I can't see, and I just find other ways to use what I can still see.
I just do all of the physical things I can, but I'll vac sometimes, or I'll do things, but she'll say, that's my job. She'll grab
Get out of my kitchen, this is my space, right here.
It's funny.
Because if I move around and he's there, I don't see him. So he needs to get out of my space. That's what I tell her. Mm-hmm. And even though it was his kitchen first, it's mine now.
But one of our biggest things as a visually impaired person is transportation. And to me, a volunteer driver is really probably one of the most important things for me.
The volunteer drivers that work with through BABVI, they're great.
She does not use her vision at all, and you know what she's going through. But she never ever complains. She'll cook me breakfast in the morning. She does things, she's just incredible. And when I told her she could move things around the house the way she wants, she'll move a coffee table over in the corner where the telephone is now and then, and she'll trip over it, and I'll say, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Well, I put it there."
Self-acceptance and self-esteem.
Immediately said to Scott, I feel so liberated. And the reason I felt liberated was because I was going to be able to do it by myself, even though there was nobody living with me.
There's hope out there for people that lose their, any kind of senses. But when you're not visual, it's harder, I think. And so I thought, well, I still have 2 legs and I still have 2 arms, and so I can keep my independence, and I still do today.
So I had to learn to quickly get over that. That was just part of my life now, and I just had to accept it.
We do have a good life. We travel a lot on the motorcycle.
Being able to be a part of a community that's just supportive and wonderful, and I wouldn't have had that experience had I not gone through what I went through. And I think it's really important, the services that BABVI offers for people, as well as the DBVI, and awareness needs to be out there, so that if someone is coming to a life situation where they are experiencing low vision or may lose their sight entirely, they can know that they're not, their life isn't over. There's still so much more out there for them, and once they get past through the grieving and the loss of losing their vision, keep a positive attitude and just realize that your life's not over. You still have all kinds of opportunities out there, and there's people out there that show you what those opportunities can be.
But every day is a new day. That's how I take it, and you just keep going. Whether you have, there's worse things than losing your sight. That's how I feel. I like the bike. I love the bike, but I wasn't sure about him at that time. I said, you need to drive me.
And this little boy pipes up and he says, I'll come and live with you so that you can have somebody to help you. And then there was a boy next to him and he says, I'm going to build my house next to you so that you can have me come in and help you. And I thought, what a wonderful job this is, because they're so innocent and they really, really got the message, and I thought that was beautiful.
Everybody loves this woman. What's there not to love? But don't tell her she can't see. She's.
Don't tell me I can't do something.
Oh yeah.
I will.
You're very, very determined.
Because I will prove you wrong.
In loving memory of Patricia S. Caruth, November 25th, 1929 to March 14th, 2015.
If you or a loved one needs assistance coping with vision loss, contact the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, 802-863-1358. Or to learn more, go to our website, www.vabvi.org. Adjusting to Vision Loss, produced by the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, directed by Dan Norris and Mike Quinlan. Narrated by Roy Lloyd. Videography and editing by Mike Quinlan.